This episode of the Durian Pod is brought to you by Hexclad, official cookware partner of TDP.
Coming up next on the Durian Pod.
You guys have insurance, right?
Yeah, but like if I take off like Natalie Portman's head, the insurance isn't gonna fix that.
Yeah.
It's not what I've done. It's not who I directed. It's not like whatever. I've seen people in Hollywood where their identity gets tied into their success in their career, and that only leads to problems. Boop. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. It lives on.
What's up, everyone? My name is David.
And I'm Jasper.
Behind the camera, we have our wonderful Heidi.
Hi.
And this is the Durian Pod. This is the show where we showcase our friends who have fought against societal standards but still made it to the top. I'm excited for our guest today. He is the face of Glambot, which has been shaking up the red carpets. He's a fellow coffee snob, entrepreneur of his own brand called Coffee Corleone, self-made director, working with the likes of Pink and Katy Perry, and also renowned brands like Disney and Mercedes. So let's give a warm welcome to Cole WALLISER.
Hey,
Thanks so much for
thank you for having me.
Welcome,
Super
Cole.
excited to be here. This is fantastic.
you ready
I'm
to
amped.
eat?
Very much so.
And drink.
Eat, drink, chat, all of the things. I'm ready.
Let's go.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And we
Yeah,
wanted to treat you extra special just because you're a friend. And also, we wanted to kind of bring out a double fisting thing on a Monday. We have this Chiva's Regal that was gifted to me during the second year anniversary of Rosin, which is over a year ago.
Oh wow, okay.
And it was a gift. It's a Japanese in style whiskey, but it's actually not Japanese whiskey. So I hope that we can try this and see what we think.
Let's give it a go.
Shall we?
Let's try it.
Cheers.
Cheers again.
Hope I make it to
Cheers,
the end.
Heidi.
Cheers.
Oh, it smells. This smells amazing.
Yeah. The notes on that.
I'm gonna have to re-up on that.
Oh yeah, you can tell it doesn't have an age, right? But you can tell there's old whiskey in here. It has like that complex like richness to
It
it.
definitely does.
That, like 30-year-olds hold, but it doesn't say.
And it doesn't have that bite that normally punches you in the face.
That's a
Right?
bit of like the old whiskey thing.
Yeah.
I found. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I've tasted a number of whiskeys in my life.
Nice.
Cole, as how we welcome you to the show, it's just like what we do at Roslyn is we serve an Amuse bouche. It's always something that's very bright, something that's fun. Usually I love sashimi, and I know you like that seafood. So tonight we're going to bring it over. I'm going to go prepare it. I'll be right back.
Love it. Can't wait.
Let's go.
In honor of what we're doing at Roslyn is our 3-year anniversary is Series X. We've gone through 9 series, 3 years, and we're basically bringing back all the flavors that we played in every series. This one takes an element of the Yuzu Marmalade Ponzu that we actually introduced in Series 2, and that was over 2 years ago, 2.5 years. We have fresh yuzu that is made into a marmalade jam. We make ponzu from scratch using some dashi and some soy sauce. And then to bring some elements from Series 6, which is Cantonese. I'm a Canto boy, so I took my mom's XO recipe that was passed down for generations and we modernized it with some actually caramelized Hoison. So it's a little sweeter and a little spicier too, because I wanted that extra flavor. You have those fresh chives to bring it all around and some fluffy chilies to make it even more fun for textures in your mouth. Keep in mind the little shrimp and the bay scallop pieces are very salty, so you don't necessarily have to eat them. They're just really beautiful there. But please
Wait,
dig
which
it.
parts are salty?
The nice little chunks that you see on top of the scallop, they're going to be packed with flavor. So it's all like an umami bomb.
Okay, love it.
Yeah, but
Umami bomb.
yeah, welcome to the show, and hopefully you enjoy this first bite. So
Oh, I'm sure I will.
All right.
Let's get into it.
Let's go. First meal of the day.
yeah, these are Hokkaido scallops. So
Kotate.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, it's really good.
It's really good.
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Cole, kind of to start things off, I remember, and this is kind of why my menu tonight is very seafood focused. Is just when we first met, it was at Roslyn, at the supper club. It was a mutual friend's birthday, and the first thing you said to me was, you were looking at my fish tank, and you said, "When are we going to talk about this fish tank?" And I knew that from then on out, we immediately become friends because there's not a lot of reefers in our community that are kind of decently cool.
Yeah, it's the other hobby amongst many. Yeah, I mean we can talk about fish tanks. I probably started my first one in 2008, but I recently set one up in my new place, and it's been going for like a year now.
I've seen it, and
great.
it's huge. It's a 6-foot peninsula or something like that, right?
Yeah, five.
It's huge.
200 gallons. It's pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go big or go home. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
When did you realize you have this beautiful hair?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think I realized it was quote unquote beautiful until I grew it out.
It's beautiful, no?
Yeah.
I've learned to make it beautiful over the years.
And the reason I asked that is like, where did it come from?
I don't know actually.
Oh.
Because I'm half Chinese and Swiss German.
Okay.
Obviously didn't come from the Chinese side.
Yes.
And even my dad, he says that he had curly hair when he was younger, but he doesn't have curly hair now.
Mhm.
And so it's sort of a bit of a mystery. We don't really know. It's just sort of a little unique being like sort of presenting Asian-y is I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can tell there's some kind of Asian mix. It's kind of unique. But every
Right.
once in a while I'll run into like an Asian that has curly hair and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
You kind of like nod at each
Oh
other.
yeah, we go and talk to each other for sure. It's like 3 or 4 in my lifetime. You know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a good segue to kind of go into your upbringing, your roots. So I know your mom is the Asian one,
Mhm.
and then your father is probably
German.
Like
Swiss.
you're-
Swiss German, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
What was the expectation of kind of raising you, or like where were you supposed to be as far as like high school, college, things like that?
There is obviously this consensus of like, Asian parents putting high pressure on the kids to like perform or like achieve certain things. And obviously my mom and my dad wanted me to succeed and do well. I didn't really feel the pressure of like, oh, you got to like get certain grades or like do certain things or have certain academic like successes. They obviously tried to have me do well and perform well in school, but there wasn't like an extra amount of pressure. I feel like it was very westernized, sort of like
Okay.
my upbringing tonally,
Right.
They wanted me to be happy. They wanted me to like do well. They didn't want me to like be a failure, obviously. But there wasn't like this, oh, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer, you have to go to post-secondary, you have to do a master's degree,
Mhm.
They were like, yeah, you should probably go to school and like do well, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I was always very much into like alternative things. Like I grew up playing sports, like I played soccer and I played baseball. But I was very much into skateboarding and into like snowboarding. And even at a young age, like I got good at skateboarding and I was sponsored
Oh,
when I was like, I got sponsored for snowboarding when I was 12.
Oh wow.
Wow.
And then skateboarding, I was sponsored from like 13 to like 18. I used to compete and like do a bunch of, I would skate a ton. And I think that actually was like a pivotal thing for me
Mhm.
because, and I think a large part of like why I ended up pursuing, well, very large part directly on why I ended up pursuing filmmaking, but also like indirectly the lessons that I learned in skateboarding. The direct part is I started with a camera in my hands filming skateboarding parts, right? So like me and my friends would film each other skateboarding. I had a camera. People would tend to hand me the camera often to be like, oh, Cole, you know how to shoot good stuff. Like you film. So I sort of like really enjoyed figuring out how to move a camera, how to like affect things. If they do this trick, if I move the camera like this, what happens? If I move like that, what happens? I was very interested in that early on and I learned how to edit like back in the day. But the indirect lesson was like me finding success kind of like outside of the school system, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Where I have like I'm sponsored, I'm making videos, I'm competing, I'm getting
Who's the sponsor? You allowed to say?
sponsored by Skechers.
Skechers.
Wow.
So well,
are they
that was
still
one of
paying
them.
you? Are they still paying you?
No, not anymore.
Okay,
No,
we gotta cut that out.
no. So
Were you also on Tony Hawk?
no, it's not. It's never a character on Tony Hawk, unfortunately.
Got it.
game?
Yeah, the game. I played a lot of that growing up.
Oh yeah. Everybody
You
did.
could probably create him.
That's true.
Yeah. Give us a little long curly hair. Definitely. So yeah, but the thing that like I kind of the valuable lesson that I think I took with me to California when I moved was like this idea of like, okay, I can find success in like an unorthodox path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like the vast majority of everybody's like, okay, like your athletics, you're doing your academics, and like you can succeed in those things and get recognition. And I chose this out of like this weird left field thing
Mhm.
with respect to like mainstream, especially like back then, like
Right.
mainstream sort of media. And I was able to like get recognition, find success in this thing. And I think that at least gave me the confidence to go like, oh, if I try this weird thing like filmmaking as a profession, maybe I can figure out how to do it because
I
of
see.
like what I learned in skateboarding, you know?
That's crazy.
Were your parents like supportive of that journey though? Because I think that's something that I think for David and myself, or even Heidi, is kind of going against that. And I think you mentioned like, growing up, your parents were kind of more westernized in that sense.
I mean, skateboarding, it was like I was a kid, you know what I
Okay.
mean? It's like I'm in school, I'm still doing my grades. Like I think if I was doing really poorly in school, they'd be like, you need to stop skateboarding and start focusing on school. But like I was doing fine. I think they encouraged me to do better.
Yeah.
I did fine. I mean, I got into college, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I was just skating. So I think it was good. I really got to the point where I was like, okay, like I'm good at skateboarding. And I'm like, is this gonna be everything that I do? Am I gonna go try to really turn pro and like really compete around the world? or am I not? Am I going to go to school and like do that?
Mhm.
And I felt like I was really good at skateboarding, but I wasn't like the best. You know what I mean? And I felt like, okay, if I make this everything, like I'm like, I know a couple other skaters that are better than me that are like my age. So like, what am I? I'm gonna always be second, third, fourth to them. So
Yeah.
like, I kind of made the call, like, okay, I love this. This is great. And I've been doing it to the point where it was like, okay, you got to go to this competition. You got to compete. You got to, you know. And
Yeah.
it became a little, not so much like a job, but there was definitely pressure. And it kind of like, I was just kind of like, okay, like I want to just try something new. You know what I mean? And so I was like, all right, I didn't tell myself I was going to stop skateboarding, but I did tell myself, okay, you're going to go to school. So I went to University of British Columbia and I started studying. I ended up getting a degree in psychology. But this like filmmaking thing kind of always followed me. I was like, oh, I really like making things. I like creating things. And when I was in college, that's when I bought a good camera. I bought a Mac computer. And I learned how to like start editing and shooting things.
Yeah.
And so that's when my focus really changed into that. And my mom did have reservations with me when I was like, okay, I want to move to LA
Yeah.
and like do film.
I'm sure.
You know,
Yeah. It's like pretty scary.
I told her the
right?
day I graduated. I was like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to LA.
Were you dwelling on this for a while, or was it just kind of like, I'm good?
So I can't remember exactly when I bought the camera, but I remember I was in my third year, and that's when I realized that I wanted to like actually give it a shot. But I was like, okay, I'm in my third year, like I might as well graduate, because I knew too. I was like, I'm better if I have a degree and like filmmaking doesn't work out, like at least I have a degree. And if I leave on my third year and I don't finish, like I'm not coming back to school. So like, and I wasn't really ready to like, I didn't view myself as like an auteur where I'm like, oh, I'm going to go make the next crazy movie or whatever. I was like, I'm learning. I like it. I want to try. So, but I can still learn as I'm like graduating. So I decided to finish school. And so that whole end of third year, fourth year, I knew I wanted to do it, but it wasn't necessarily clear that I needed to be in LA. And then so I just realized it as I was learning and doing stuff. And then and then a part of me finishing too, like I knew my mom wanted me to graduate. So I kind of was like, okay, I'll at least finish. And then when I finished, it was clear to me that I was like, oh, I need to be in LA. So then after my graduation ceremony, we're having lunch. I was like, Mom, I'm gonna move to LA.
She's
like,
like,
see ya.
Right? Slap? You just
I think
slap?
she was just kind of like shocked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't remember actually how the conversation continued after that,
That's
but
fair. But you definitely, she'll remember that for sure.
No, she knocked you out. That's why you don't remember.
yeah,
Just kidding,
exactly.
just kidding.
So I do want to say that jump you did from, your hometown to Los Angeles, anywhere to a new city is scary, right?
Yeah.
So in that process, to get to the success you are now, like, do you have a story where you can recall where you just, to add on top of like that struggle where you just like fucking like failed?
No, but you just answered a question I had, is whether we can curse on this podcast. So, so that was helpful.
Yes, this is an explicit podcast.
Okay. I was like, should I ask? I'm like, I'll just let it go.
You're only limited to 5. And Heidi is actually doing the tallies.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm down to.
You got 4 left.
I have 5 because I'm the host.
Okay. So okay, copy that. I'll keep track.
I didn't know you had that privilege.
Failures in LA. I mean, I think that like every
in
day,
your,
my
in
friend.
Your journey, in your journey.
In my journey,
that you kind of recall, you're like, wow, this really hurts, or this really like profound,
Or made you maybe even want to go back to Vancouver.
Okay, so moving to LA from Canada is a little different than moving here from the Bay or from another state. Because
Absolutely.
I'm not allowed to be here. I have to get a visa. I have to get a lawyer. So I had to save money and like spend thousands of dollars just to show up here. So I think it's a lot different when you're like, okay, I'm going to like save up a bit and like try LA. And the people are here for like 6 months and they're like, it's not working. And they go back home. 8 months. I recommend everybody moving to LA. You have to be here at least a year to like see how it is, because it just takes that long to meet people and like network and like do that whole thing. I think it's very different now actually with social. It's like you can meet a lot of people before even you can build your career in any city, at least a career in entertainment. So it's a little different now, but yeah, I was committed to 3 years. So I kind of like, I committed to this idea that like, if I fail, it's not going to be because of me. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to do everything that I can to not get in my own way. I was like, look, if nobody hires me, if nobody likes me, if nobody wants to like help me, that's fine, but I'm not going to get in my own way. So I tried my best to like, just, you see it all the time, like people not self-sabotage, but like just get in their own way of like their own success, because like you're scared to put your work out there. You're scared to go out and just be vulnerable in your art or your pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, you can't control whether or not anybody opens a door for you, but like you can control that aspect. So I was kind of like, okay, I'm not gonna let that happen.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I mean, eating ramen for a month straight, not having money, dreading asking my family for money was definitely like a moment where I was like, is this gonna work out? You know what I mean? But I basically came with like the attitude of like, I am not failing. Like I am not going home. Like the worst outcome is me like going back to Vancouver with my tail between my legs. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I also like, which I didn't mention yet, is that like when I stopped skateboarding, I started dancing. I started like breaking. And so I was breaking a ton. I started teaching like dance, breakdancing, b-boying in Vancouver. I started DJing. So I was like very much into like these artistic avenues. I started DJing like at my campus university. And so when I moved to LA, I was like, I knew how to edit. So I'd do jobs editing. I knew how to dance. So I'd do little gigs performing, and I could DJ. So I was like DJing little gigs. If one or two of those things weren't popping off, one was. There was no editing jobs, no dancing jobs. I was DJing. There's no DJing jobs, no dancing jobs. I was editing.
I see.
And I saw my friends who were like predominantly just dancers. When I first moved to LA, I was very much just in the dance world, and they would go dry with work because there's like no dance jobs. And like I was always thankful. I think a part of how I found my path was just being like trying to do as many jobs as I could with the skill set that I had. And I think that was
the Fresh Prince effect.
Yeah. That was the only way. That was the only way that I feel like I survived. But I very much was like, I mean, I did that by design because I was like, I'm not gonna fail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Damn. Well, I wish I was that skilled.
Wait, what, I was gonna say, I feel like that's exactly
No.
that's exactly what you're doing right now.
No,
So-
but I didn't like have like most of my eggs in those things, you know, like because I'm just like kind of dabbling and like
this guy right here, he doesn't talk about it. Like he's a pharmacist, he DJs as well, and he's a beverage director and he makes cocktails.
Yeah.
So like, you got to give yourself a little more credit here. Like,
thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean, but this is the thing, and I think a lot of
right.
people have a bunch of interests. You know what I mean? But this is the thing. It's like this is what happens. Is like people kind of DJ at home and they're like, oh, you should get jobs. Like, oh, I don't know. Like, oh, I'm not good enough. And like, fuck it. Just go out and like and do it. You know what I mean? Like and like you figure it out. The other thing that I think like really helped me too is that I always looked at it like this is what I'm dedicating sort of my life to, this pursuit of like this artistic adventure. And I was very much in it for the long game. So like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make a video, I'm gonna put it out. It's not gonna be that good, but like the next one's gonna be better, and the next one's gonna be better. I think a lot of people get focused on like making things, especially with content now too. It's like it has to be perfect, it has to be good, but it's just like I think that point is even more salient where it's like not like later you're gonna do a video, but like tomorrow you're gonna do another video. It's gonna get better and better and better. So I was always like, I'm in it for the long haul. And if today's not great, tomorrow will be better, and I'll just keep making videos until I'm as good as I can get, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
And that's still going on today. It's like I'm still getting better. I'm still doing stuff. I'm still figuring out how to be more effective in my artistic endeavors. And that's a thing that never stops.
Can I ask a question? For that, like doing something every day, is that something that you feel like is more motivation, or is it like process? Like what have you set up to allow yourself to
It's all process.
do it every day?
It's all process. I never want to do it. It's all process. Especially with like, I mean, the thing that I'm trying to do now is like write. You know what I mean? Like writing when you're in the flow, it feels good and it's great, but you're in the flow 10% of the time, 5% of the time, 95% of the time, you're sitting your ass down and you're like grinding it out. I'm not getting up out of this chair. And sometimes you do, and sometimes you sit there and you stare at it. You know what I mean? But I think that motivation, like the idea that like artistic people that are successful in the arts are like super motivated and they like sit at the computer and they're happy to like write. It's like, this is not the reality at all.
Yeah,
it's like
not
they
at
hate
all.
their lives and like there is this drive to like be successful in this artistic thing, but like it is a grind by and large, and it's all about process. It's all about sitting down and doing the work. I look at it so much more like it's work than it's like, oh, I feel motivated today and I'm gonna go write. Like that's a fantasy. Sometimes it happens and it's great. You know, you ride that way for as long as you can, but by and large, it's just like it's you're fighting procrastination and all sorts of other things. You know?
Yeah.
Being creative is so hard too, right? Because you can't just turn it on and be like, hey, I'm going to be creative right now.
Yeah.
Right?
But this is the thing that process helps, right? Like the number of times I sit down and I go like, okay, I'm going to write for like an hour and like do not want to do it, not in the right headspace, looking at the pages and being like, oh, this is literally the worst thing I can imagine. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, okay, Like that mode happens frequently. And I'm like, all right, like read for 15 minutes, like read what you wrote for 15 minutes and like just fix punctuation. Like don't worry about being creative. Don't worry about like writing anything. Don't worry about adding the next scene or whatever. Just like reread what you wrote. And like, just like, if you have an idea, just fix it up.
Yeah.
So I'll start there and I'll start reading. And then it's like, as you get into it, like by the time that 50 minutes is done, I'm like more in the mode. I'm like, oh, I have one idea. I'm like, oh, okay, like I'll do this little thing. I'll do that. And I'm like, oh, like maybe this other thing. And if the inspiration doesn't come by then, it's like, just keep proofreading stuff. And maybe it takes 45 minutes to like get in the zone, but like you eventually get in the zone and then you eventually get in the flow and then you eventually get inspired. Inspiration is like the last thing. It's like process, work, and then inspiration. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, inspiration comes first, but that's rare. And if you rely on that, you're going to fail. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of inspiration, do you want to show us some of your inspiration?
What a great segue.
Wait, what inspiration?
AKA edible inspiration.
Oh, you're talking about my inspiration?
Yes, your
Rest
inspiration.
and joy.
I was going to say, when it comes to cooking, inspiration is actually probably the most difficult part. You have to really look at what like other people are doing to really go, what's different?
Sure.
And I think that's one of the things I love about the cooking process, right? Is back in the day, I used to just be a consumer, just go out and eat. And it's like, oh, this is really tasty. But now it's more so like, wow, this chef discovered this particular element or implementing like, you know, shrimp paste or fish sauce or whatever else in a way that I haven't seen. I think that's a perfect segue actually to our favorite dish, which is basically the entree.
Okay.
The entree is always something substantial. I'm super stoked for you to try this because it's a little fresh, but it's meaty. I know I promised a lot of seafood, but this is something that we've been dry aging for a while, and I can't wait to show you.
Ooh,
Yeah,
can't wait.
Cool. I'll be right back.
Love
Thanks,
it.
Jasper.
This one is I think the epitome of what Series X is about. We're showcasing like really beautiful meats and everything we do at Roslyn. We took something from Series 8, which is the Namjim salad. So there's actually freshly picked mint. We have fresh passion fruit. And Namjim is that Thai style sauce that has a little bit of fish sauce, a little bit of Thai chilies. So it's bright, it's vibrant. We finish it with the Fly by Jing chili oil now. And so that's something that's really cool. We saw it on Hot Ones and they sent it over and we're like, hey, let's try it with it.
Oh, amazing.
So you're gonna have all the flavors. The lamb itself is New Zealand lamb, and we actually dry age it in-house in our fridge for about 7 days to get all the flavor out. So a lot of umami on there. So
Okay.
recommend just picking it up like a lollipop, dipping in the sauce, and then eating it with the mint as it kind of breaks down that flavor. And hopefully you guys love this.
Thank you so much.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I
of
love
course.
it.
I'm excited. This
Oh my
looks
gosh.
amazing.
Also, we need refills because it goes well with whiskey.
Yes, this is definitely a whiskey
This is the
dish
whiskey drink?
because the yes, please, thank you, because the lamb has been charred using the flamethrower, so you get all that extra flavor with there.
Ooh.
So hopefully it's good. Touch the meats,
Touch the meats.
There you go.
and then make sure to eat some mint immediately after to get all
Okay.
the flavor.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. That char.
Spectacular.
So with the entree, it's always about like just something that's substantial. I figured we're all starving to death, so that's why there's 3 lollipops. So take your time eating this. It's totally okay.
Is that what they're called? Lollipop?
Yeah, lamb lollipops.
So, Cole, you've worked with so many brands, so many people. Kind of the more I looked into it, I was like, damn, like this the list goes on and on and on. And you've done it in so many different avenues as well, like music videos, commercials, like just kind of like what is it, promotional things. It's like, at what point were you like, holy shit, I can keep doing this. I can do this. Because you feel like in the beginning you're like, oh, I get a couple of lucky gigs and they may be one-offs, maybe not. But then at some point you're like, I don't think these are one-offs. I think it's just me. I'm the one-off.
I mean, I don't know if I go that far, but but I do feel like I've reached a certain point of either stability or sustainability in my career.
Which gig was that you were like?
I mean, there was no single gig, but I also will tell you that I still have feelings that it can all evaporate tomorrow and I'll never work again. You know what I mean? I don't think that fear is rational, but it's like it's still here.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm always like, okay, I'll move to Hawaii. I'll open a coffee shop. Like this is like what I'm gonna do.
I like that.
Like North Shore, make a little coffee shop. If I never work again in the entertainment industry, that's where you'll find me. But way late. You know what I mean? Like I've always been fortunate and like feel really lucky for all of the work that I've been able to do. But I always think that like I always feel like someone like nobody's gonna call. You know what I mean? It's just always in my head. And so I don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing. Cause I think it like can help motivate you, but it also can like stress you out a lot.
Yeah.
And I still feel it right now, even as we were like in one of the breaks, just sort of saying it's like a bit of a slow period. Like, I don't know if it's the strike that's going on or just sort of like the season or things are structuring, but it's a bit of a downtime for me, which I currently do appreciate. And this is a part of the reason why I've been focusing so much on like writing and developing right now. But in my mind, I'm like, is someone going to call? Am I going to get another job at some point?
Yeah.
I'm sure I will, but you still have that feeling of like, well, maybe like, is it going to be next week? Is it going to be next year? You know what I mean? Like, hopefully it's not next year, but who knows, you know?
Right.
So I don't know if there definitely wasn't an inflection point where that went away, though. There was a point where like I had done a bunch of music videos for like Katy Perry and Pink. I'd done a bunch of like CoverGirl and like Revlon and like beauty stuff. And I was just kind of like, I looked back like 5 years and I was like, well, I've been working for like 5 years consistently and at oftentimes being busy. I was just kind of like, I think I'm pretty good. Like, I think this is a career now. You know what I mean? But that was like many, many years in, you know what I mean?
Right. So there wasn't just like, what about in the early stages where you felt like I got in? You know how you struggled to get that opportunity, and then what was that point?
Honestly, the first time I felt like I got in was 2 years ago when I signed with CAA and Entertainment 360, because these are like established companies that now represent me. And for the longest time, I just felt like I was on the outside, like working, but like I wasn't like in. You know, I was like picking off these jobs here and there that were cool and like with cool artists, but they weren't like, it wasn't like from the inside. You know what I mean? And even now, it's like it's not like I feel like, oh, I'm like super in the mix, but just having these reps that are like, when I moved to LA, it's like, you know, William Morris, ICM, CAA, Endeavor. It's like, oh, I always wanted to sign with one of these big companies, but I also didn't want to like knock down doors. So I just let it organically happen. It took 15 years, but you know, now I'm super happy with my reps and I feel like, okay, now at least I'm on the inside from a representation standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because obviously like I'm directing a video for like Katy Perry. This is like good, and I'm like on the inside. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, I don't know. I don't know if it's a problem to maybe not. We touched on this a second ago, where it's like, it potentially is a problem that you're not giving yourself the right recognition, but at the same time, it also can like motivate you to be like, I gotta keep working, I gotta like keep hustling. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
I see. Yeah, I guess like collectively, it sounds like you were just so busy just doing so many different things that you didn't really like maybe have a chance to kind of look back and be like, whoa, I did all that, because then it's like a whole list, and then you're like, I'm actually legit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that never goes away. Like, you never think you're legit. You know?
Well, let me show you the list. It's right here.
No, I know. I understand like the list of credits, right? But it's like, you never feel, I think that like, that's a hard thing to just be like, it's a thing that I actually fight against. I definitely try to not identify my worth and or personality with my work. You know what I mean? Like, I pride myself on being a good person that's kind, that like can sit down and have a nice conversation with people. And like when I'm present with other people, it's like, that's the most important thing. It's not what I've done. It's not who I directed. It's not like whatever. And I think that I've seen people in Hollywood where their identity gets tied into their success in their career. And that only leads to problems, you know? And so I've actively tried to keep those things separate. So I try not to identify with like all the work. And like, it almost is like problematic because I like forget what I've done. Like, I've looked at my resume, it's like, oh yeah, like, I did all this stuff.
You're being way too humble, man. You're here for a reason.
Yeah. I mean,
like look, here at this table.
No, I know I've done a bunch of stuff, and I'm not saying that I haven't.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I just try to. That's not like the most important thing, even though my career is like the most important thing. It's not a defining thing. You know what I mean? And so I'd rather it, just be. There's my body of work. Like, you can look at it, but I mean, it doesn't matter when we're having a conversation, unless we're obviously talking about that, which we are.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I got to ask you a question, because this is something that I struggle with as well, is I think when I started cooking, I finally found like a passion or a purpose. You know, for 10 plus years of my life, I was in tech or finance, and it just was kind of the path that I chose. Like, I just chose it because it was like, okay, this makes sense.
Yep.
But then I realized I didn't like it. And so when I actually got into cooking, I think I dove too deep into it to the point where the career became the identity.
Sure. Yeah.
And I've had, commentary from friends and even people I've dated where it's like, what is the other side? Because being one dimensional in many senses, like if you're all I do is cook and all I do is talk about food, that's very 1D. Shout out to One Direction. I miss you guys. Zayn. But in all aspects, like I'm very curious, like how you've been able to kind of separate that, because then your character is truly the genuine nice guy that I've met who has his hobbies, that snowboards, that has fish tanks, that enjoys his time like in the outdoors and is able to do everything you love, but you also still have this incredible career that you've backed.
Yeah, especially just to piggyback, especially in like the world of Hollywood, influencers, like it's easy to get just like caught up and lost, and then you forget about like you have director Cole and then you have Cole.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I do think that there's great value in becoming fully immersed in a topic and or skill where literally you put everything else to your life aside and you focus in and you deep dive. I think that is a necessary part of finding success in any freelance type endeavor, like being a chef or a content creator or director or whatever. So there is value to that. And I think that everybody needs to do that at some point, but that is not a sustainable practice. And people go years in that world, and then you have to, you either burn out or you realize what you're doing. You got to take a step back. Yeah. I think it's a thing that you actively have to do, because if you don't, especially because of it sounds like your mode has been like deep dive, especially as just like as a relatively new passion for how old you are. You know what I mean? It's like this is a small part of your life, and you want to learn as much as you can, and you want to be as successful as you can. So the way to do it is to spend your every waking moment focusing on it, which is good. But then you just act like, to get out of it requires effort now, because that's your default mode, right? Wake up, learn about cooking, talk about cooking, eat, drink, share, all good stuff. But like to do something else, you have to try now, because that's what your life is, right? And so at some point you're going to realize you're going to want to, or realize that there are things that are not as effective or as optimized as you might like, be it free time, relationships, other things that quantify having like a good life or a balanced life. And you'll go, okay, like I gotta do something about this. And it can be small, it could be as easy as being like, Tuesday nights, I am not cooking. And not like you're deciding what you're doing. Yeah. I'm not cooking. I'm not talking about cooking. I'm not watching cooking videos. I'm just doing some other thing. Yeah. And you're like, that's my time to do some other stuff.
Like eating.
Sure. but like not in a way, not in a cooking analysis type way. You know what I mean?
I think that's so ingrained into me though. Like I was literally on a date recently, and literally we're breaking down how to make the spaghetti at Scarpetta. Like I'm tasting all the elements, and I didn't mean to do it. Right. I was just like, oh, like she was just showing me like, oh, this is like what she loves about this. Is such a great pasta dish. And I'm going like, okay, so there's egg in there that makes it bounce. Okay, the little bit of the basil was like roasted before with the garlic, and she's just like, can you just stop for a sec? Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then it clicks away. And I think that's one thing I'm very grateful for, is like for my friends and people who have cared about me go, there's the separation.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think I've been too much so the guy who just, what's that saying? You live to eat versus eat to live. I'm very much like I live to eat. But you're absolutely right. I think one of the things that's been very helpful is like creating a separation of hobbies. Like Tuesdays are actually my day where I don't do Roslyn related things.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's like a day of golfing and going go-kart racing.
Love it.
Ooh.
And that's like intriguing for me, and being able to, for example, go swim. Like that's my day. But I wish I could do more of it. And I think, like you said, it all comes down to this being so early, because it's only been 3 years for me cooking now. And it's been 15 years for you doing this.
Yeah. Year 3, me making videos, I was not doing anything else. You know what I mean? Like I was just learning how to shoot and edit,
grinding,
and just grinding. You know what I mean? And it's like many years of that where you're like, okay, I got to take a break now. You know what I mean? So, but it's like, I think the benefit is like the balance is very much a more part of the conversation now. Like even 5-8 years ago, it's like, it was even 5 or less. I think like after the pandemic, we started really having the mental health conversation and that being an accepted topic. 5 years ago, it was like sleep when you're dead, like grind, like hustle, like I wake up at 4 a.m. and it's like, okay, like
especially like the years that we grew up, because I'm 39. Right?
Yeah.
It was very much so like like grind, you know, like you're not gonna make it until you grind that hard. But now it's like you need that.
Sustainability.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's super important. And I don't think that anybody is going to end up being less successful because we're having conversations about mental health and balance in your life. I think that maybe at worst it will take you a bit more time, but you're going to be happier doing it, and you're going to be able to sustain it for your entire life. Whereas like the rate of burnout is way lower, you know, because I think we're having this conversation. I mean, people obviously still get burnt out and become obsessed with their pursuits, but I just think that because we're talking about how that affects you and like how you can balance it better, that tends to be less frequent, I think.
I see. Nice. Thank you.
That. That's so helpful. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to share. I mean, you know, I as you mentioned, I've been doing it for a long time, and there's been periods where I'm fully immersed, and there's been periods where my fourth one completely fucked off from like all my career, right? So, you know, and it's like it's really just about finding the right balance.
Nice.
But it requires effort. Like it's not going to happen unless you need to want to do it, right? Like you might not want to stop talking about the spaghetti and like how it's made, because you're right. You're just like, this is what I care about right now. Which is fine, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're not ready to leave your immersion in this world, don't. You know what I mean? Like if this is all you want to think about and all you want to do, like keep doing that. Don't stop because you're like, I should have balance. Like stop because you're like, you need balance. You know what I mean? Not like you like, maybe it's better. Maybe it is, but maybe you want to do this for another year, another 6 months, another week, whatever it is, right? But I think it is good to like monitor it, you know. And if you care to not, then don't. But if you don't care, like keep doing it. You know?
I think there's that balance, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just when you dive deep into something for so long, and I think that's where we've had so much success with Rosalind too, is just like I keep trying to find different avenues. And it is that schedule you talked about. It's literally like YouTube University, like watching different videos, following different chefs, going to visit chefs, going to their restaurants, exploring. Like it's all these little elements. And then I realized, like, wait a second, like it's not just commentary that I've gotten from friends or people have dated. It's like I realized that my burnout rate was happening to the point where it was like every 3 weeks I felt exhausted.
Yeah.
I felt like there was just nothing. Like I was just like, why am I feel like I'm waking up at like 10 going, this is not how I feel. But now that the hobbies have come in place, I still wake up at 6:30.
Yeah.
And it feels great.
Tell the listeners or the viewers, I should say, what Glambot is. I mean, we mentioned in the beginning.
Yeah.
Tell us what it is, and actually, more importantly, what it means to you.
Okay, so Glambot is a way of shooting talent on red carpets. Typically, the biggest award shows: Oscars, Grammys, Golden Globes, Emmys. It's a high-speed slow motion camera rig, and we shoot these sort of visual portrait videos of talent. I direct the videos of talent, and I started making behind-the-scenes content of this. I got this job as a director. Like, you've done dance stuff because this thing involves movement. You've done a bunch of beauty stuff, which I'd shot CoverGirl and Red One and whatever. And you've worked with like A-list talent, which is sort of a thing. Like you have to be able to not freak out when like Ariana Grande walks up. So those are the 3 requirements that they wanted in a director. I checked all those boxes. And so I got this job as a director. The first few I did, this was 2016 when I first started, I would show up, I'd set all the cameras, I'd do all the things, I would direct it. I'd have the videos at the end and I'd go home. And that was like it. This is a job, directing these things. Then obviously content started taking over, and I was like, okay, cool. This like I had the producer kind of film a couple clips behind the scenes. I mean, the story goes, it's a very roundabout. This is a long story on what this Glambot is. But the story goes, I was I think it was 2017, maybe it was 2018. I was at the Oscars. Jackie Chan was coming. I'm like a huge Jackie Chan fan. And so I was like, I wanted to get a picture with him, right? So I gave my phone to the producer and I was like, look, if it feels right, I'm going to ask for a picture. And I just want you to be like ready. So like have the camera open, like ready. So it's just like 1 second and like we can do it. So he comes, I direct him for the Glambot. We shoot a Glambot. He's kind of in a rush. And so it just didn't feel right. And I didn't ask for a picture. He just, yeah. Rush hour mode for sure. So he left. I didn't ask for a picture. I was kind of bummed, but then the producer was like, oh, I got these clips of like I recorded a video of like, she's like, I took some pictures, like you talking to him. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like me giving him direction. That's really cool. And then she's like, I took a couple videos of like you giving him direction and like even the moment that like he did the action. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then when I went home that night, I like watched that video and then I watched the final thing. And early on, I think it was like, I don't even think you could do videos on Instagram. I put it on Twitter, and it was
wow.
you know how you could do like multiple media? So the first was like a behind the scenes clip, and you could like swipe over and then watch the final clip. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool to see the before and after. When I realized that, I was like, oh, let me try to like start filming these things. And I started bringing cameras and I started bringing mics. And so now the thing that I'm known for is actually is the directing part of the content, which is me, you know, meeting the talent, giving them direction, us together figuring out like what they should do, and then them doing it, and then the behind the scene, the slow-mo video at the end. And that's the thing that has sort of skyrocketed my career into the public eye, and has opened up a ton of new doors for me in my career. So
yeah, it's that signature, like you greeting them with your warm heart, and then they go like, "Oh, I'm so excited to meet you, Cole." And then it's like, "What do you want to do?"
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then it's just so fun because like I always wait for the part where stand right there because you have that kind of positioning of like they're like they want to twirl, they want to move, and so that makes this that's crazy. And Jackie Chan was your first one then technically. Did you ever make one?
I guess so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure if I published that one. I probably did. This is a long time ago now. But yeah, that was definitely the first one where I realized like, oh, it's sort of a behind the scenes thing. And then the final product is cool. And I feel like that coincided with this idea of like showing process on social media. Because I think for a long time when we first started becoming sort of obsessed with social, it was very much like wish fulfillment and like glamorizing the perfect life. It was like influencers on the perfect vacation, like looking gorgeous over in like some cool view. And that was like the world that we were like idolizing. And then at some point we started just appreciating either sort of like looking behind the glass or like peeling back the onions and like understanding process a little bit more. And I think my content really coincided with that shift in what we were appreciating on social. And that also, I think, helped skyrocket my career.
Yeah. Wow. I think what's really special about the Glambot is, like you said, it's behind the scenes where, you know, we watch Michael Bay movies. There's explosions every 5 minutes, right? But we're just kind of like looking at the screen like this. But then when you have a behind the scenes moment with like maybe an actor or how they executed this like CG scene, then the audience is like, oh, whoa, that's crazy, you know? And so like, you know, the very last, what do you call it? Carousel thing is the slow-mo. Slow-mo's cool. Like, oh, that's cool. But then what's really attractive is like the interaction between you and that, you know, person.
And so, I never thought that would be a part of the appeal.
Yeah.
I always was like, I thought it, like when I first started making the content, it was just like, okay, some cool celebrity doing some cool thing. And like, you kind of see how it's made. And I always thought that people are just wanting to see the celebrity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I started like, people would comment of like, oh, I love watching you interact with them. And I was like, oh, I guess that is a part of it. You know what I mean? And it's really shifted how it's shifted my career because now people view me as like a host. And now I am a host. I've hosted a TV show. I've hosted content. I've hosted a bunch of stuff. But this is sort of an indirect benefit of like sharing this content, you know?
Yeah, that's so cool.
I think a lot of it comes down to, you know, I used to work in marketing too, is when you create anticipation and the process creates that. Yeah. So I'm just waiting there going like, what's it going to be? What are they going to do? Yeah. Like, how's he going to interact with them? And then it happens and you see the final product and you feel that fulfillment. Yeah. And like, I think that's why it's been so successful.
It's sort of just by chance that this content is sort of the perfect formula for social media, right? Because you instantly kind of know something's going to happen and you have to wait to the last frame to watch it. You know what I mean? Like there's already an inherent hook. It's like you see me with the hair helps, you know what I mean? We're on the red carpet. We know at this point we know what it is.
Also your style, your swag. You got swag, dog. I swear. You got swag. Every time I see your face, I'm like, damn.
Yeah. I've definitely been trying to up the fashion because I'm known for shooting fashion, right? Yeah. So I'm like, this is a lane. I mean, I enjoy like expressing myself and I just think that it's really cool that you can do different stuff and represent yourself differently. So I do enjoy the creation of like fashion and that expression. And I'm like known for doing fashion stuff. So I'm like, it makes sense. So I've been putting a little bit more effort into that. So I appreciate you.
Always fly, dude. Always fly. I expect you to come in a suit today.
I mean, I could have. I didn't know this was the directive. I definitely could have.
I'm just kidding. No, you look great now. It's like, you know, casual, chic.
Yeah, if you want to say chic. Yeah. So yeah. I mean, it's been great, and it's been really, my career has really taken off since my social platforms
That's awesome.
have grown, and it's amazing.
I do want to add that you are heavy, a part of why it's successful, because you're like an actual cool dude. You know, like you show this humanistic side where you're like, oh, that's a dope guy. Like I want to like have a beer with him, you know? Like if you were just kind of like the typical, not typical, I don't want to say that because I'm not in that space, but if you were just kind of like a all business Hollywood director, they wouldn't have, those videos aren't the same. It's kind of like, okay, well, I'd rather see the slow-mo then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's like, it's a bit of a misconception, but I do think that it has some validity to it, where it's like you have this like asshole director that's like yelling stuff out and like, you do this, you do that. And it's like high tension. And it's like, this is this creative genius that like knows what is best. And they're just like barking orders at people. This is like how directors have been portrayed. And I do think that people have actually subscribed to that belief and like built their careers on that. Like I've worked on sets. I shot behind the scenes for a long time on different things. And like directors were assholes, you know what I mean? And they were successful, and like you couldn't do anything about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that like it breaks the mold a little bit, where you see this person who's being friendly and kind, and even A, that is my demeanor, but B, I also think that it actually helps the content. You know what I mean? Like, because it's so quick what we're doing, and it actually is dangerous. Like the robot moves super fast, and if you get hit in the head, it's like it could knock you out. It could seriously injure you.
You guys have insurance, right?
Yeah, but like if I take off like Natalie Portman's head, like is not, the insurance isn't gonna fix that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
The cover
or an escape route. You know, just hop the fence.
So knock on wood on that. But you know, so it's like the more comfortable they feel, the better, the more organic the shot's gonna be. It's just gonna work out better for everybody. So, and I admit that like I don't know what's best. Like I don't know what you should do. This is a thing that we need to figure out together. Mm-hmm. And so the more personable I can be, and the more at ease they feel, I think it really helps my end goal and my end product, right? And now it just like, it's cool because people recognize it and they sort of know, and they're like, oh, I practiced this, or I know this, or I saw your content. Makes my job's gotten easier now because like they know what it is and they know what to do and they've thought of it. So
for sure,
it helps.
Wonderful.
So looking back in your journey, what's a specific piece of advice that you hold close to you that you were willing to share to other aspiring people that are in the director space? That you're willing to kind of leak out, if you will?
Well, it was public advice, and I don't even know if I remember it exactly, but it was Conan O'Brien on his last Tonight Show. The Tonight Show.
The Conan O'Brien show?
No. He did the Tonight Show for like 6 months.
Yeah. And then he got replaced with Jay Leno, and then he had Conan. Right? His own show.
Yeah, like Conan took over Jay Leno for like 6 months. And then he like left or got fired, or I don't know what happened. But at the very end of the thing, he's like his ending monologue of like, this was like his dream, like coming true, like hosting the Tonight Show. And he said, I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly. I should need to remember exactly what this is because I quoted a bunch, but I'm probably misquoting. He says, work hard, be nice to people, and like good things will happen. And that's, I've taken that with me like always, you know what I mean? I just think that's a thing that is A, true, and then B, just like yields success, but like an enjoyable life. Like I like working hard. I like putting in effort. I like trying to figure out like how to do things and doing them. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy when people are nice to me. So I want to do the same. So I enjoy being nice because I know what it's like on the receiving end.
Yeah.
And then implement those two things, and like good things will happen.
I love that.
I wish there was a more specific, do this thing for your art. You know what I mean? But like I guess but that's like advice. Like I have other like thoughts on like lessons on what one can do, but those were words that I think I've always, at least the not the words because I clearly forget them, but the meaning behind them.
Yeah. Shout out Conan.
Yeah.
The full ethos. We should just have this printed on a banner for you, or like a nice little poster of his face,
t-shirt maybe
with a giant like orange hair too.
100%.
Yeah. He's awesome.
Those kind of words, they kind of just like bleed down into everything that you do. So it could be advice about how you shoot, or like how you interact with, like, you know, in your situation, celebrities, but, you know, being nice and working hard. I think no matter what you do, those will always like just kind of come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
I mean that piece of advice more applied to like client work, because I was obviously directing, you know, it's like on a shoot with like Katy Perry or Pink or whatever. It's like, yes, I'm directing her, but I'm working with 50 other people that surround her. Yeah. And so it's like, it's the niceness to like all of the other people involved. Like, obviously you're going to be nice to the main star, right? But even just doing like client editing work, where it's like being nice to the client or whoever, the agency is like, it goes a long way. And you know, they call you back because it's like, you were good to work with. I call people back because they're good to work with, because not because like they're overly friendly, but they're just like good, nice people. You know what I mean? I've definitely not called people back because they have attitudes. Like, I don't, you know, we're not, it's like this.
Are we nice?
You guys are very, well, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Obviously I wouldn't be here if Jasper was rude. So yeah, of course.
Okay, I just want to check. Because that's your mantra. I just want to make sure that, you know, we're good. We're good, right?
We're all right.
If I'm actively hanging out with you, I consider you nice.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
I drove from Santa Monica here.
Yeah, that is true.
That means something.
That's essentially
LA traffic.
Yeah, it's the same distance basically. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for sharing everything. Tell the listeners, tell the viewers what you have in store. What's next? What can they expect from you? Besides from what you're already doing.
Yeah. Well, all the award shows are on hold because of the strike. So there's no new Glambots. Actually, there are new Glambots. They're just ones that I haven't edited yet. There's new stuff coming out. But like, this is always a tricky question for me as a director, because I'm developing projects that I can't talk about. You know what I mean? And so nothing is on like the precipice of coming out. It's all sort of like further development stuff.
I see.
But yeah, I'm always making content. There's always things I'm making. Actually, you know what?
Is this the NDA talking?
Yes, this is the NDA.
Just say that.
Yeah, I'm under NDA for everything.
Okay, there you have it. Sorry,
actually, no, wait, there is something though. So we, I have had a coffee company that I started during the pandemic.
Oh, yes.
Called Cafe Corleone, but we are currently rebranding and restructuring and relaunching this entire thing. So the new company is called Creo Coffee. And the whole idea is that it's coffee for the creative mind. So this is the idea is like, we're fueling people's creativity. So the person that wakes up in the morning, has a cup of coffee, and like goes and does their creative pursuit, this is the community that I'm trying to build with this new coffee company. So it's everybody from like writers, directors, photographers, anybody, creators, chefs that are like making things where it's like you're having a coffee, thinking about what you're going to do or what you're going to create, or making breakfast or whatever it is. I want to curate this type of community and like bond over coffee. Yeah. So this is the new pursuit. We don't have a firm date, but like working on doing new logos, new website right now. So it's like, this is actually taking up most of my time. So super excited about that to come. To like have a bunch of cool new coffee coming out, but to B, just connect with people that are like-minded in their creative pursuits. Over coffee, which I think is an easy thing to do. Yeah. So that is a new thing that is coming. So yeah.
Yeah, we're coffee snobs.
Yeah,
so
we are.
If you need taste testers,
definitely.
we'll take 4 bags each. I don't know.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You heard it. You heard it, guys. 4 bags each.
Yeah. 4 bags. I was gonna say, like, I literally am a 3 cup a day type of guy right now.
Oh wow, okay.
It's kind of intense, but I remember like when I went to go visit you and we got to go see your beautiful Peninsula tank and stuff. You were showing me some like kind of sample bags from Creo Coffee, and it just immediately triggered everything that you just said. That was just like, you know, Rosalind, we're doing this coffee club too, and I'd love an opportunity to just be able to bring people together over coffee. So the fact that you're already doing that,
this makes a lot of sense.
Opportunity here.
Yeah,
like,
that'd be
nice,
cool. That'd be a nice collab.
Yeah,
definitely.
I know. Although I kind of wish that there was like a brand that's just like Cole's Coffee and it's just your hair in a silhouette.
I mean, we thought about it. We thought maybe there'll be a special bee and a special roast.
Ooh.
No, that's actually really genius. Like just a silhouette. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like Slash, you know, like that type of thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it is the identifiable thing. So we will see. We'll see.
That'll be a story.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I know that guy. Like to my kids, I'm like, that guy right there. I know that silhouette. I know. I met him.
Now that we know what's going on for you, we always end with the final bite. And the final bite's something that we do at Rosalind that's incredibly decadent. It's designed to be punchy. It's designed to just kind of make you go, damn, I'm good for the night. So give me a bit.
Love it.
I'll be right back. This is the final bite, and it is the most decadent. It's always the most like kind of crazy, and there's a lot of show to it, but really it's just to showcase something that's beautiful and something that I love to eat. And I wanted to share this with you because I know you love seafood.
Sure do.
We have a beautiful pulpo, Spanish octopus. Yep. It's been deep fried. We have a Tom Yum lobster reduction. So we actually take the main lobster head and the head guts and render it down. We use a smoked cedar wood that we char, and we actually stick it into the broth, along with charred lemongrass, Thai chilies, and galangal to bring the base. The acidity comes from Meyer lemon as well as heirloom tomatoes. Ooh. So we've got a lot of different things going on. The texture, of course, you'll know. But please dig in first.
Big fan of the Meyer lemons.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's hot.
Oh wow. That's good pulpo.
With this, it's not even like about the sauce. The sauce is great, but the texture, you killed it on the texture.
I'm obsessed with your Tom Yum reduction. Like every time you say that, that's gonna be a thing. I'm just I need to get at it.
Thank you for sharing with it, like on the show. Like it's been so cool.
No, this is awesome. This is definitely the environment that I like to be in. Good food, good people, great conversation. So this is ideal.
Pretty decent alcohol.
Pretty decent alcohol.
Cheers to that.
Cheers, one last cheers.
Yeah, cheers
Thank you,
to that.
Cole.
Cheers to that.
With that said, Cole, thank you so much for being here, sharing your story, inspiring our listeners and viewers. There's a lot of people that are maybe on the fence about doing this and that, but I think this has probably pushed them off one side, the good side.
Hopefully.
So thank you for being here too.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for
Yes.
sharing the delicious food. Great conversation. This was a pleasure. I mean, you guys fed me. I will be back anytime. Anytime you guys want me to be back in this podcast,
Yes.
I will be back.
Well, that wraps it up. Thank you guys for watching. My name is David,
And I'm Jasper.
and
I'm Heidi.
this is another episode of the Durian Pod. Until next time,
See you
peace.
soon. Peace. Oh, hey there. It's Jasper from the Durian Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And check us out everywhere that podcasts are available. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, you name it. And we'll see you soon.